So in today's video we're going to look at something that should appeal to most people, and that is how to make money without really doing any work. Sounds too good to be true, but this video is based on one vital concept in investing. Some people think it's investing's most important concept. It has been variously called, slightly dramatically, the eighth wonder of the world, and even people have claimed that Albert Einstein said it was the greatest concept in mathematics. That may or may not be true, but what is this concept? It is very simply one word, and that word is compounding. In other words, making money on money, or making your money work for you. And it's one of those concepts which, once you get how powerful it is, you'll think, that's pretty straightforward, I don't know why I didn't think of that before, but a lot of people miss just how powerful compounding can be, and they make mistakes as a result. So what we'll do is take a look at how compounding works. Now, this is not a maths video, fear not, I'm not going to turn anyone into a university mathematician. If you want more on maths, either see some other videos of mine, or, as I say, have a look elsewhere. I'm going to assume that I can jump the maths because there are online calculators available that you can play around with that will do the maths for you, so there'll be a few numbers but not too many. So what is compound interest? Well, it's the idea that if you leave money earning a return for long enough, you end up with a bigger pot than perhaps you fully realise. Let me give you an example. Supposing, just take a very small amount. Supposing I take £100 and I invest it at 5%, and I just invest it for a year. That's going to turn into, now the maths of this is I need to multiply 100 by 1.05, 1 plus the interest rate, in other words, and that turns it into £105. So far not very impressive, because you've made a fiver in a year. Now, the mistake you could make at this point is to think, well, I'm only ever going to earn a fiver a year, so I'll take it out and spend it. You know, why not make the most of it now? If you do that, take the £5 out and spend it, the £100 isn't going to grow. Alright, so what you want to do is leave the £100 and the £5 you just earned as interest and let it work again. Because £105 earning 5% the following year, so you're getting interest on interest. You're getting interest not just on the £100 you put in, but also the fiver you didn't take out. Mathematically, that gives you more like, I'll be precise, but you get the idea, £110.25. So after 2 years, let's say, you're £10.25 better off than you were 2 years ago. In other words, this is the key. The original £100 is working, and so is the fiver you earned. Now, stay invested, don't take your £10.25p out. Stay invested, and now you've got an extra £10.25 doing the hard work for you. Now, imagine we kept going. I'm not going to go through every single year, that would get a bit boring after a while. Imagine you kept going and stayed invested for 10 years, letting that £100 work for you. Not putting any more in, just that original £100. Basically, you would end up with £163 for doing absolutely nothing other than just letting it sit there. Alright, I admit I'm ignoring inflation here. Inflation can eat away at some of this 5%, but let's ignore that for the purposes of this video. And if you left it there for 20 years, the same £100 at the start, merrily clocking up interest at 5% and interest on interest, you'd have £265. Okay, so this is just putting a single investment of £100 in at the start, 20 years later, £265 out at the end. Okay, and that's the magic of compound interest, because all the way through, these little extra bits have been earning interest on interest. Okay, now you might think, well, that's not that impressive. I mean, but that's because you only put £100 in at the start. I mean, what do you want, a free lunch? Okay, but imagine you do something a little more impressive. So let's say aged 14. All right, now a few people watching this video may have forgotten what 14 looks like, but let's say age 14, you were to invest £2,000 a year at 10% interest. All right, and you leave the money, so you put your £2,000 in age 14, your £2,000 age 15, your £2,000 16, £2,000 age 17. In other words, you invest for 4 years, £2,000 a year earning 10% until you're 18 years old. Then you stop, and you don't do anything until you're 65 years old. Other than the money you invested between the ages of 14 and 18 is now earning 10% a year. Money on money. Age 65, you will have a pot of around £1.2 million. And that starts to sound like a fairly serious number. All right? What did you do to earn that pot? You simply put £2,000 a year in between the ages of 14 and 18 and then let it work for you at, admittedly, a nice juicy interest rate of 10%. Now some of you will say, where can you get 10% right now? Well, that's another challenge, but you get the idea. That 1.2 million is money working to build money. So that's the first point and the first takeaway. The earlier you start, the better this works for you. And here's another point you've probably seen coming: the more often you invest, okay, the better this principle works for you. Let me show you how it works with a really simple example, just to keep the numbers nice and tidy. All right, the more often you get your money in, get it working for you, rather than just putting £100 in at the start, the better off you'll be at the end. Now, this will seem like a fairly small difference, but you can see that on much bigger sums over a much longer period, you'll see what difference I'm talking about here. Let's take that idea again, that we're earning an interest rate of 5%. All right, and I said, basically, if you're earning the £5 and it's being paid to you at the end of the year, you'll have £105 at the end. And that's true. But what is the, as they call it, annual equivalent rate? And you see this in literature sometimes. Annual equivalent rate. If instead of getting the interest at the end of the year, as one £5 dollop if you like, I'm actually paid it quarterly. So I'm still getting a, in theory, rate of 5%, but I'm getting it quarterly rather than at the end of the year. Does that change the effective rate of interest that I'm earning? And the answer is it does. Now I'm not going to labour the mathematics of this, but essentially what you do is take, if you're getting, if you like, your interest paid in quarterly instalments, okay, the annual equivalent rate is actually a bit higher than 5% because the money can start earning interest on interest earlier. So the first quarter's little bit of interest can earn money until the second quarter is paid and the third quarter and so on. So it's like a leapfrog effect. So what you'd actually do, mathematically, I'll just do this once, is take your 5%, and that's, by the way, 0.05. You divide it by 4, all right, because we're talking about quarterly instalments, and add 1. Now I'm going fairly quickly. All right, so that gives you, again, plenty of online calculators to do this for you, a rate of 1.0125. And effectively what we're saying is the interest you earn, okay, with quarterly interest is a little bit higher because you're earning 1.25% at the end of the first quarter. That can then start earning interest on interest. All right, and at the end of the year, the question then is, what is the annual equivalent rate of receiving quarterly interest? Now there is a sum you can do that will work that out for you. All you need to do, easy for me to say, there are plenty of online calculators to do this for you. I say this isn't a maths class per se, is take 1.0125 times 1.0125 times 1.0125 times 1.0125. In other words, you do it 4 times because it's quarterly. All right. Another way of doing that, by the way, is just like that, and that gives you a number at the end of 1.0509, roughly speaking. Knock off the 1 and you've got your percentage. Now if you're lost on the numbers, they're not really important. The point is this: paid quarterly, 5% turns into a little bit more than 5%. Not much, but a little bit more. So you're earning money on money at a slightly faster rate. The annual equivalent is higher, okay? Now, take that principle further, and if you say, well actually, what if the interest was paid monthly? So you can start earning interest on interest from month 1, you end up with an annual equivalent rate of 5.12%. All right. So what I'm saying from this is that it matters how often you earn interest. All right. This is only going to make a difference on very big sums, obviously, but the more frequently interest is paid, the greater chance your money has to earn interest on interest. Now, word of warning, this is great if you're a saver, but it works in reverse if you're a borrower. If you're paying interest, the more frequently you're charged, the worse it is. Okay, so bear that in mind. For savers, yeah, earning money on money is fantastic. That's compounding working for you. Obviously, for borrowers, where it's just making your debt bigger and bigger and bigger. All right, deferring paying interest so that interest is rolling up on interest can turn into a bit of a nightmare. You can end up with a mountain of a debt if your annual equivalent rate is too high. And of course, it is on some products. All right, watch out for borrowing arrangements where you're paying a hideous rate. If you don't settle the debt, that can clock up very, very quickly, quicker than you might realise. Okay, so there's a couple of key concepts. Now, what I want to finish off with is one other way that you need to make this work for you. All right, and that is charges. At MoneyWeek, we keep saying keep charges on your products down, and here's the reason. Charges eat into your ability to earn money on money. I'll show you what I mean. You put £100 a month. Now again, there are online calculators everywhere that will do this for you. You could try thisismoney.co.uk, for example, if you want to find one easily. But so I'm not going to labour the mathematics, I'm just going to give you the result, if you like. Put £100 a month, let's say, for 10 years, into an account that earns, now, it's a different video as to what you can invest in to get this, but earns you 7% gross, as we call it. So £100 a month, getting some kind of savings account, and all the way through, it's earning you a return of 7%. Okay? Here's the question. If charges, now what's charges? What your fund manager's charging you, for example, to earn this return on your behalf. Okay? If charges are nothing, in other words, you can invest the money like this for free. Do it yourself. You will find that £100 a month, okay, earning 7% annually over 10 years will turn into around £17,000. About that. All right? Nice. Okay, because if you think about it, that's the effect of earning money on money and not being charged for it. All right? Because if that was zero, then you can do the maths. £100 a month for 1 year is £1,200. For 10 is £12,000. So where's this come from? Well, it's money on money. But watch what happens if I am being charged by my broker. Make that 3% under the same scenario, and all of a sudden, my pot of gold drops to more like 14,591. All right? And that's because I'm still earning money on money. It's being eaten by these charges, okay, these annual charges. And if I make the charges 6% a year, still earning as a return of 7, but I'm being hit for 6% a year, which might be a bit extreme, that comes right the way down to more like 12,465. Okay, so there's another takeaway here, which is, yeah, you want to earn money on money, but you don't want someone to keep taking away money from the money you're earning. All right? So the takeaway is very simple. Charges really matter. All right? When you're looking at a product, don't just look at how much money on money you can earn. Look at what it's costing you, if you like, to get that return. Because the higher the charges, the less your pot at the end of the exercise. All right? So, takeaways from this short, sharp video. Number one, compounding is the easy way to make money because you put your money in and you sit back, okay, and let compounding work its magic. So, top tips. Number one, don't take your interest out and spend it, otherwise this concept falls apart. Same with shares, all right? If you receive a dividend, don't go down the pub, all right? Reinvest it, and brokers will do that for you. There are stats that show that since 1925, around half the return from the S&P 500 is reinvested dividends. Okay, so you've got to let them work for you. Number two, okay, if you're a borrower, this all works in reverse. You're being charged money on money. So watch out for that. That's why, number one priority, if you like, is to get rid of expensive debt, credit card debt, personal loans, that kind of thing. Number three, start early. All right, start early. Now, obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I can't start investing any earlier than today. I'm not a time traveller. But if you're investing on behalf of children, for example, get in there early. Remember that example of between 14 and 18 in the pension pot? All right. And the other thing is keep charges down. All right. Don't be blasé about charges. Just making even a 1% saving on annual charges can make a huge difference over, say, 10, 20 or 30 years to the pot you end up with at the end.